When I mention powerful, useful meta commanders, what comes to mind? I'm sure you think of the meta commanders. LIANG, Boudica, Henry, maybe some older commanders like Gilgamesh or Nebu. Doesn't even have to be archers. Maybe Nevsky, maybe Joan, maybe Scipio, maybe even Sargon. But what if I said one of the best commanders in the whole entire game to help you increase power exponentially is Markswoman, an advanced commander, someone you get for free at the start of the game. Why is she good? Why am I even making this video? Well, she holds a lot of value in helping you increase your power by a lot. So if you want to know a lot more about Markswoman and why I think she is one of the most underrated commanders in the whole entire game, you need to check out today's video. Let's begin with breaking down the cost of expertise in commanders, because it definitely does play a key role in this video. First of all, legendary commanders take around 690 gold sculptures to expertise, and around up to 1,000 of these legendary stars. Then, what would I say their XP cost is? Around 50 million. For an epic commander, they take around 440 of their epic sculptures to expertise, around 400 to 500 of their stars, depending on how lucky you get and depending on which ones you use, and around 42 million XP. You can see the difference in XP for legendaries and epics is not too bad. The sculpture difference is around 200-ish less, but for advanced commanders, guess what? They're basically free to expertise. 230 sculptures. Their sculptures are obviously more common and easier to come by. They only take around 150 to 200 stars max. Obviously, their stars are easier to come by, and they only take 25 million XP to expertise. An advanced commander takes 1/3 the sculptures to expertise and half of the XP to expertise. So right off the bat, they're already at a major advantage, and the other advantage they get is everything that they use to expertise, their commander sculptures and their stars, are way more common than legendary commanders and epic commanders. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have less epic stars than you do basic stars. You're going to have less legendary stars than you do basic stars, and you surely will have less epic commander sculptures and legendary commander sculptures than you do markswoman sculptures, because they're way more common. And that's obviously what it's supposed to be. Advanced commanders are supposed to be a really early game commander that you don't really progress much after that. But in that short period where you use them, a commander like Markswoman can literally improve your account by so much, it's just crazy. And for me to demonstrate this, I will switch to my Siege Restart account. So here is my Siege Restart, and the reason I brought you here is because Markswoman is one of the best commanders in that account. And one of the reasons is because she's easy to level up, I get massive increases in troop capacity. And in the early game, troop capacity is everything. If you have a march that can hold 50k and you're versing someone who can only hold 30k, you pretty much sealed the deal. It doesn't matter what skills you have, doesn't matter what commanders you're running. And since Markswoman is easy to level up, you level her up faster, and she gets access to more talents quicker, you're going to run a lot more troops first. She has got a ton of troop capacity because her troop capacity is the same as an epic commander, it's the same as a legendary commander, it's the same as an elite commander, and she's half the cost. So right off the bat, she gets a buff just there. She costs less to expertise, less to level up, especially in XP, and that means I can run her with a lot of troops. She has a 21,500 unit capacity. My Boudica, who has double the resources that I've spent on my Markswoman, only holds 22,000 troops. And you can see that over time, my Markswoman is going to overtake my Boudica. It's going to happen. She's eventually going to outlevel that Boudica because she costs way less experience. So right off the bat, Markswoman holds a lot more troops, which is great for killing barbarians. In the early game, if you want to kill barbarians, you want that troop capacity, especially when you get those higher level barbarians and they start to shoot up in power quicker than you can gain troops. So really, really nice to get massive increases in troop capacity when you are able to pretty much wipe them out with a commander who then levels up quicker so that they get even more troop capacity to the point where you're pretty much up to the standard of what the barbarians currently are. Then also, she's got really good talents. So most civilizations in the early game, you don't get a peacekeeping commander. The only civilization that does give you a peacekeeping commander is Britain. All the other civilizations here are not peacekeepers. Like if you look at them, all these commanders are either open field or they serve some other purpose such as gathering or buffing, such as Joan of Arc. The only other peacekeeping commander is Byzantium, but Byzantium is not a early game civilization. Hospital capacity is not useful in the early game. Britain gives you a nice training speed bonus and also some allied garrison capacity, but mainly it's the training speed you care about there, plus you get the access to Boudica. And why does Markswoman matter? Well, you can technically pick whichever civilization you want, whether it be China, whether it be Korea, whether it be any civilization, whether you want France for the Joan of Arc, you can pick them because Markswoman is going to be able to use that peacekeeping tree. And with that peacekeeping tree, which you get access to quicker because you're leveling her up, you get access to all the talents you'd want. In a peacekeeping commander, the main talents you need in the early game are the increased XP in quick study and also the insight in the reduction of action point cost. And the best thing is with the quick study, she gets extra experience, and then also she has a reduction to action point cost for each barbarian she kills. So you get more XP for each barbarian, and it costs less to kill each barbarian, so she levels up more. You get access to more of the peacekeeping tree, you get access to some of the skill tree, some of the archery tree, and all around you've got a really good commander. Increased capacity, they've got really good talents, and then once you hit star level 3, you can work on 2 commanders at once. I can run my Markswoman with any commander I choose. If I want to run my Markswoman with a commander who normally wouldn't beat a barbarian, for example, let's say I want to level up my Centurion, I can run my Markswoman with my Centurion. That Centurion is going to benefit from the Markswoman's XP boost due to her talents, and also is going to benefit from all the damage, extra damage to barbarians that Markswoman does because of her peacekeeping tree. And then all I need to defeat the barbarians is either the increased troop capacity that she does bring, or I bring out another commander. And now I can easily wipe the floor with my Markswoman and my Boudica. And then along with this, my Centurion is gaining bonus XP, which means he can level up quicker. Now, not only can I upgrade Centurion quicker due to the increased experience from Markswoman, it also means I get to save experienced tomes, something that are more valuable to legendary commanders than advanced commanders, because A, legendary commanders need more overall experience, and B, they use the same experience. Compared to like commander sculptures and stars where they use different stars, experience is equal. Legendary commanders and advanced commanders use the same type of experience. Obviously different amounts, but the same type. And since Markswoman gives Centurion more experience overall, it's saving me a lot of experience tomes in the long run, which can be used on commanders such as Pyrus, such as maybe the new Siege commanders that I'm going for. So all of those commanders will take my XP tomes over the Centurion, who I would have had to use XP on if I didn't run him as a secondary to Markswoman. I can also use Markswoman to upgrade some other barbarian commanders to either work on new barbarian marches, which they could be a primary for, or even to replace her. However, she can still be very useful. Yes, Loha is a really easy peacekeeping commander to get, but guess who you could run that Loha with as a secondary to level him up even quicker? You could run him as a secondary to that Markswoman who you have access to, and you can kill the barbarians to get the Loha's bucklers with Markswoman, and because you've got Markswoman's talents, you can kill more barbarians to get more Loha sculptures, which allows you to kill more barbarians, which allows you to get more resources, more speed ups, more gems, and as you can see, that just scales exponentially. With the more gems, you get more VIP. With more VIP, you get more research speed boosts. You get more resources overall. With the extra resources, what do you get? Higher city halls. Higher city halls come with more quests, more rewards, more commanders, and it's just an infinite loop. An infinite loop of just scaling to infinity with the amount of stuff you can basically get. And this is all because Markswoman gave you a nice major buff in the early game. Now, you may be also wondering, can you really run her as an open field commander? And the answer is a mixture of yes and no. In the extreme stages of the early game, like where I am right now, where there might be a battle, maybe an alliance comes to try and take your holy site or your sanctum. And the answer to running her as a primary commander for the open field in those situations is a definite yes. And the reason is because if you have a secondary commander, regardless of who the primary is in the early game, you're already at an advantage. Most people in the early game don't really know what they're doing, and even if they do, they may only have one march with a primary commander, but if you can bring 2 marches with a primary commander and a secondary commander, you're already at a buff. If you have, for example, your epic commander of your civilization at level 20, and then you have your marksman at level 20, you can run the epic commander of your civilization with any other commander you own. You probably have a Minamoto at some level. Maybe you have some other epic commanders in your kit who synergize quite well with the commander that you have. So if you have a Sun Tzu at level, like star level 3, and you get a Pericles for free like I did, you could run Sun Tzu Pericles. And then if you have a Markswoman and you get any other commander, it doesn't matter who, you've already got a buff right there. Because you can run Markswoman in the open field with a secondary commander who's already giving you more stats than your opponent, whether it be small amounts of stats like a Gaius Marius, who's giving you some healing, some damage factor, and a march speed reduction, or someone like Minamoto, who's giving you a lot of stats compared to most early game commanders. And then the final thing Markswoman brings, especially this is related to the open field, is her increased troop capacity. Like I mentioned before, it helps with barbarians, but it also helps with the field, because in the early game, if you run 10,000 more troops than your opponent, so for example, if I ran this Minamoto, I don't care how strong these horsemen are. If I'm running 10,000 horsemen and my opponent is running 20,000 mixed random rubbish troops with a Markswoman, that Markswoman's going to beat me. My Minamoto is not expertise. My tech is not that much better than theirs. I'm in the early game. I don't really get any advantages. I've got no equipment. So them having more troops instantly beats me. It just decimates me. They will get a better trade. They will sad face my march, and they will walk away pretty much undamaged, because what do you get the most damage from in the early game? It's not your skills. It's not your talents. It is mainly the amount of troops you're running, because in the early game, you aren't dealing any skill damage. Like, what's the biggest skill damage numbers you see early game? If you hit 1,000 skill damage on a barbarian, you're lucky. If you hit 1,000 skill damage on a player, then at that point, don't use Markswoman. So really, in the early game, it's all troop capacity. And since Markswoman gets the massive fast leveling up, you can run her at level 40 against people who have like level 20 commanders. So it is crazy how much troop capacity she can hold, like 50,000 troops while your opponents are walking around with 30,000. you're going to decimate them. You have double their capacity. So that's where she does get another boost to her open field effectiveness. Obviously, she's not going to be effective forever. By the time you reach level 60 or so epic commanders, level 30, even level 40 epic commanders, that's when Markswoman starts to get phased out. But in the earlier stages of the game, she's great for peacekeeping, she's easy to level up other commanders due to her increased XP boost, and she's just one of the most versatile commanders all around. Now, I'm sure you know these videos take a lot of time and effort to make, and I have one quick request. Let me know in the comments what content you prefer. I've been making a lot of early game content over the past couple of days, but I've also got a lot of late game content which I can be making. So I obviously still plan to do both early and late game content, but what do you want more? Would you prefer me to do more content related to my siege restart and the early game and how to really be strong in the early game? Or would you like me to stick around that end game phase and talk a little bit more about the stuff there, like the new cav marchers and the new cav commanders? So let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to hear your guys' opinion and whether or not you are liking this early game style content, or if you prefer my old content where it's really more related to the end game. Now, I just want to say thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.